Well, I think it's from from the stories that my grandparents have told me, it's definitely in a long-term drying. When they were here, my grandmother, she was raised in the Bitterroot, so she was born in 1893 and was educated in the Carleton School, which is not the Florence School, but where the Florence Carleton Church is. There was a little school there, and she was tells stories of lots of times taking a horse and a cutter to school and going over the fences, just driving right over fences. Now, I know they didn't make short fences in those days. I mean, same size as everybody's. So that there was on occasion a good deal more snow then than there is now. Another reason I know there's a lot more snow in the 20s and when the early people were settling in here is you look at the water rights out of all of these creeks here, they're for hundreds of inches of water. They barely flow now. These guys irrigated all of this ground by flood irrigating out of this. Now you couldn't. It's hard to get water to come down. All of these creeks, Davis Creek and Woodchuck and 8 Mile, all of these creeks that come off this east side had hundreds of inches of water and that people used in the last 70, 80 years, but now the creeks are just nothing much more than springs. So I think it's definitely a change in the climate. Well, it's obvious that it is. And it's obvious even for me of the 50 years that I can remember around here, that I've been on the ranch here, is we used to get a good deal more snow in even the 60s and a lot colder winters. And I imagine the colder winter had a lot to do with the snow staying on longer. And it seems to me that pretty much every year it is cycling warmer and drier. Whether that's going to change and go back the other way, I have no idea. But it has definitely changed the vegetation on the ranch. It's the native range suffers more than the tame grasses do, because the tame grasses come from areas where they even had less moisture than here. Weeds, especially the opportunistic ones like knapweed and leafy spurge, they have tremendous root systems. They really do well in droughty sites. They came from Eurasia where they had low rainfall areas. So they're really well set up to compete in a stressed ecosystem. And when you add grazing on top of drought, it really opens it up for infestations of all kinds of weeds.